have served as the Executive Director of Women's Missionary Union for her report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Page. The WMU report may be found on page 124 of your book of reports, and we are grateful to be the last word in Baltimore. We have just completed a wonderful annual mission celebration where we wrapped up a year-long celebration of our 125th anniversary. We began with 100 people on buses touring Lottie Moon's Virginia and dining with the missionaries at the International Learning Center. And we concluded with over 600 on buses touring the sites where Annie Armstrong lived and worked as the first executive director of WMU here in Baltimore, beginning in 1888. During the Monday evening session, Debbie Ackerman of South Carolina was reelected for her 5th and final term as our president, and Linda Cooper of Kentucky was elected as our recording secretary following the completion of service by retired missionary Rosalie Hunt of Alabama. I'm pleased to have Debbie with me on the platform today. On Sunday afternoon, the North American Mission Board, the International Mission Board, and WMU hosted a unique experience within Southern Baptist life for the first joint commissioning of international and North American missionaries at a national event in 25 years. We began with a beautiful parade of flags representing the states, regions, and nations of our world, and we heard the powerful testimonies of over 100 missionaries.
We are also celebrating the historic Lottie Moon Christmas offering report released this past week of $154,057,852.36. How exciting! Yes, how exciting that in the 125th anniversary of the first offering for international missions, together we gave the largest offering ever to the Lottie Moon Christmas offering. When the women of 1888 accepted the challenge of raising funds for a church in Cuba and for Bible women to help Lottie Moon in China, I know they never dreamed of an offering of this size would be the result many years later. And yet, because they were faithful in their day, we have the opportunity to continue their legacy today with our giving.
As we close out this meeting of our convention, we would like to remind you of the challenge issued by both Mission Board presidents on Sunday afternoon. May the passion that you hear in their voices for reaching the lost burn in our hearts as we leave this place. Would you watch your screen for just a moment?
Lostness is real in North America. It is deep and it is wide.
Almost 1 billion of this world's 7 billion people are very likely to die without ever hearing the gospel in such a fashion that they could comprehend it and then respond to it.
Lostness has a way of sneaking up on us because it's disguised in the familiar. Every day, the people we see are those we have so much in common with. They're our neighbors and co-workers and fellow students. They're the people who pour our coffee at the restaurant and our bosses and our moms and dads with us on the sidelines at soccer matches and football games. They are so familiar and so much like us, it is easy to forget that 3 out of 4 do not have a relationship with Christ. New York, the church-to-population ratio is 1 church for every 58,000 people. In Minnesota, it's 1 for every 74,000 people. And in Canada, it's 1 for every 118,000 people. The truth is, millions of people in North America live in areas where the gospel is not easily accessible through a local evangelical church.
The average one of us has learned how to look at the most horrific things you can imagine and be unmoved by them. In light of the world's greatest lostness, in light of the moment when we could get the gospel into the hearts and hands of people more easily than any other time in this earth, we are backing up. The problem, folks, is that we don't understand lostness. What a tragedy if what happened next would be that God would call us home and then ask us, what did you do? What did you do with what I gave you? My prayer is that it would be said that there never had been a greater hour for missions, that there had never been a greater time, that we were those, hold them back, and we said, yes, we're coming.
We must do things differently. We must start new churches with a fervor we haven't had for over 100 years. We must return to the cities as Jesus went to the cities. And we must each be willing to play our part in taking Him to wherever He tells us to go.
I pray you will join with me in one sacred effort to fulfill the Great Commission. The world has a need for the gospel.
What a privilege it's been this past year to work with our 2 mission boards. Great cooperation, great partnership as we begin this next 125 years of inspiring and challenging the church to do just what you have heard. So what is the last word that WMU has to say to you? It is the invitation you have just heard. Will you join with us in one sacred effort to fulfill the Great Commission? The world truly is desperately in need of the gospel, and it's in our hands. Mr. Chairman, this concludes our report.
Amen. Thank you, Wanda. Thank you, Debbie. Let's give them a hand. Are there any questions about the WMU report?